Hello everybody and welcome back to yet another video, and in today's video, as you can see by the title, we're doing another nail art design. And here is the colors that we're going to use. We have one like a nude color, just a basic black, then like sort of like a cherry red I would say, a light pink, which is a little dirty, but we're gonna ignore that. Then a very bright yellow, a also very dirty white, because for some reason all my colors are really runny. And yeah, here we have a glittery shade, a very beautiful nice red. And yeah, we're just gonna start off with a glitter base for the thumb design. Basically, the idea for this nail set is kind of like, I guess, Valentine's Day vibes, post-Valentine, if you will. And I had this nail set idea in mind for quite a while, which is basically like the Pink Panther and like his little girlfriend or whatever. I don't know if she has an actual name, but yeah, it's basically the Pink Panther and like, I guess, the Pink Panthers. And we're gonna start off with her. If you've ever seen a picture of her, she has like quite like these flirty eyes. And honestly, I was really struggling with this nail art design because particularly the line work, like the black lines are very, very thin. So you're gonna see later on how, you know, I will be struggling with that. And yeah, as you can see, just, you know, the basic, you know, the base, and then starting out with the light pink to basically already work on the outline and trying to get the overall shape right before even starting with, you know, the finer details. And yeah, I definitely believe I should get a new set of brushes, or in general just a proper set of nail brushes, because I only had one and that kind of broke on me. So this is actually not a proper, you know, nail polish brush or nail art brush at all. And I would definitely love something that has like a thinner tip, which allows me to make, you know, more crisp line art in the future. But yeah, basically the idea for this design, I start to, you know, always have like a little bit of a sketch beforehand. So we basically have 3 nails with the glitter base, the red glitter base, and then we have 2 which would be on the ring finger, and, you know, I don't even know how to say, like the finger that you point with, like the one next to the thumb. In German we call it Zeigefinger, but anyways, you know, those 2 will have a sort of like nude beigey see-through sort of base coat. And yeah, the rest of the designs are quite simple because I already struggled with this one and worked very hard on this one. So yeah, here you can see me starting off honestly quite well, considering what kind of brush I have, you know, quite thin lines. But yeah, it was really tough, and you will be seeing me, you know, you will see a lot of cuts and a lot of, you know, me fixing off camera, like me fixing the design off camera, and the use of cotton swabs sometimes, because, you know, this is the truth, this is the reality. You don't get it right immediately on the first try, especially with, you know, nail art designs like this, which are, you know, so small and quite detailed. I feel like this right there, you know, like the roundness of the face, I did quite well, but with the ears, both on, you know, her, and then also on the Pink Panther I kind of struggled with, you know, outlining the ears. But yeah, very excited that I finally get to do this nail design, because I had it in the back of my head for quite a while. And I also really like the colors of this one. I originally was unsure whether or not I wanted to do another glittery nail set, because the last one was also, you know, with glitter. It was like this black and silver. But then I figured, honestly, it looks really cute and good, so might as well. And yeah, here you can see the first of many instances where the cotton swab gets in action, because I think, how many times did I like redraw her eye? Probably like 3 times, maybe. Like, I struggled so much with that, because she kind of has like a, not like a squinting eye, but you know, like sort of like half, like, you know, like the eyelid basically. And because it's so close but also kind of like an almond shape, you know, it's not like round, you just can, you know, to do a line to cut it in half, because the almond shape is, it's long and you don't have a lot of space, which makes it so hard to draw. And then, you know, you also have the lashes, which funnily enough worked out quite well. What also ironically worked pretty okay was the mouth, which, considering how there's barely any space and my brush, you can see, is huge in comparison to what I'm actually supposed to draw, it worked out really well. I'm like, wow, it's a miracle. And yeah, that one whisker is a little thick for my taste, but I guess I was like, there's no way I can fix it now, because if I fix it with like a cotton swab, it will destroy everything. So I kind of, you know, was very careful with that. And yeah, the second eye worked pretty well. But one thing that you might notice as well is that later on I will be going back with the black, because I guess there wasn't a lot of nail polish, nail gel on my brush anymore, because it, especially once it like goes under the UV light, you can see how it's kind of like, you know, when it's dry it's not quite as black, but the other colors sort of like shine through a little bit. And yeah, now we're gonna do, yeah, this is the part in particular that I struggled with, the ears, to create like sort of the inner ear, if you will, like the little circles. And yet again, the cotton swab comes to the rescue. But honestly, I think, considering how detailed and small her face is, it turned out really well. Ironically enough, she turned out, or at least I feel that way, she turned out better than, you know, her mate, her boyfriend or whatever, like the Pink Panther himself. I feel like he doesn't look quite like himself, if that makes sense. Like, you can recognize her, like, if you know the picture. But with the Pink Panther, like, I guess you can recognize him, but like the face in particular, I'm not too happy with. And yeah, here you can see me going in with the yellow. And, you know, basically just, you know, the fine details, like her red nose. And we're also gonna mix 2 colors, because I do not have a light pink or like a very, very light pink. So just mix some white and the pink that I have. And yeah, use that for her ears, but also you will see it again when painting some of the details of the other Pink Panther. And yeah, I honestly think she turned out really good. Look at her. Look at her go. And yeah, as I told you before, here you can just see me kind of, because my camera is blurry, but basically I'm just, you know, correcting some of the line art, making it a little bit darker so you can see it a little better. Yeah. but the first attempt didn't quite work. Yeah, I definitely used a lot of like cotton swabs yesterday. Had them on standby because I already knew this was going to be not very easy, but yeah, this is how she turned out, and we're gonna go straight ahead to draw her little boyfriend, the iconic Pink Panther, der Pink Panther. I remember there was like this TV show, I think, where it's kind of like real, but also, you know, kind of like, oh God, what's it called? Not the Looney Tunes, but like that one rabbit, you know, where Jessica Rabbit is in, like, you know, those types of movies or series, where it's kind of like this mixture of a real life sort of television show, or like, you know, program, and then you also have animated characters that sort of interact with these real actors. You know, the classical, you know, music that played in the beginning. And yeah, personally I feel like with this design, I think I mentioned it prior as well, that the more, for me personally, the more simple a design, the harder it actually is, because if especially like a cartoon is very, you know, iconic and has a very specific shape that is burned into everyone's mind, I feel like as soon as it's not exactly that, you can tell it's off, and you can tell it's not exactly, it doesn't look exactly like the character, because of how simple it is. It's like, because there's not a lot to it, as soon as you make one little mistake, it's already off, because there is not much to it. And I feel like this is another case where, ironically enough, the more difficult design that we just had in the beginning with a much more complicated face turned out much better, I feel personally, than this design, where there's simply not a lot to it. And especially, like, you can already tell, like, the silhouette looks a little weird, and I went back and forth, especially with like the mouth shape, because it just didn't look right to me. And I feel like one problem was, in terms of the proportions, that the Pink Panther has a relatively long face, and I guess I should have maybe almost like pushed him more to the right, so there would be more space for his long mouth or whatever, so he would have looked a little more recognizable. Of course, because it's like a pink sort of cat, you can recognize him, but you know, as an artist, you're always a little bit of a perfectionist. And yeah, here we go with the line art again. Obviously not nearly as difficult as before. Again, there's not a lot of facial detail as well. But yeah, still a little bit of a challenge, considering I do not have the right brushes, the right materials, or not really materials, but like utensils, if you will. Also, this is another point which I struggle with, was the placement of the eye, of his eye, because it's kind of like protruding, almost like it's outside of, you know, the line work a little bit. So I also redrew that a bunch of times. It's kind of comedic to see myself struggle with this, with minute details such as this. And yeah, I hope it will get better once I have, you know, better brushes that are like thin or also longer, so, you know, so they kind of like bend, and you can get around like corners and curves a little better. Yeah, and this was really funny. It was supposed to be like, you know, you see his one shoulder peeking out, but because the liner is so thin, the black just consumed that shoulder in its own darkness, but I guess it's okay. We're just gonna work with it. And yeah, finishing off the arm right here. I guess you can kind of already recognize him, but yeah, I was not too happy with the mouth in particular. And there's this one thing which we will see with the mouth that kind of frustrates me a little bit, which is the fact that, you know, it's supposed to look like, you know, an open mouth, right? And then also sort of not really like 3D, but it looks like his tooth, when in reality it's not supposed to be a tooth. It's supposed to be like one part of his mouth, you know, sort of like, you know, typical with cats. But it's just, it looks like a tooth. It looks like a silly tooth, even though that's not what it's about. It makes me very sad. Not too happy about that, but the great thing, I guess, is because, you know, a nail is like bent, so it's not completely even, so you can't really see it when you look up front. Like from up top you cannot really see that half that well, so it's okay. And here you can see I'm using that mixed color again, you know, of the white and the pink, to create that lighter shade. And yeah, I love how my camera thinks that my thumb is more interesting than the than me painting the nail, but it's fine. I feel like there's at least a little improvement, because at least when I, you know, draw, I like paint on the nail, you can actually see the nail most of the time. And yeah, we're going back again with like the yellow. Come on, get in the camera, please. Basically just the eyeball. Oh god. And I mean, I guess the great thing is, yet again, we use the cotton swab, because I used too much yellow and the yellow consumed the black pupil that I already did before. So yeah, I had to get that cotton swab again. Then his little nose with that same cherry red. And yeah, I think that's basically it. I think we're just gonna do the whiskers, I think was the last thing, and like the eyebrows. Which, funny enough, you might be wondering, oh, why was I showing off the nail art design? Because I literally forgot to draw the whiskers, and I already put it in the UV light, and then I remember, like, wait, the whiskers are missing. So here you can see me going back and adding those, and even adding the ones that you cannot really see. But, you know, the thought counts, right? They're there. They're not missing, even though you can barely see them. But it is complete. And yeah, now we come to the, I guess, more relaxing nail art designs. And I don't know, for me, I guess it's like a special type of psychology that I use on myself, where I first start with the difficult designs, and then I sort of reward myself by, you know, going down, then doing, you know, the second most difficult, which was like this sort of like heart swoop that I did. And then it gets more easier and more, you know, simple designs, or, you know, designs, I guess, that I feel much more comfortable with, or where you can sort of like go with the flow a little bit more, and it's not like strict with the design where it's like it has to look like this or else it looks off. And yeah, here we get to the nail design, which, I mean, I only did one as an example. They don't look exactly the same, but you basically have, you know, this nude base coat, and then a design which I'm basically a real big fan of and have done actually quite a few times. And it's basically just these swirls, like this line work with two colors. And the great thing is you can make them whatever shape you want, and they can look different. It's just very fun, but I didn't film all of them because it's just slight variations on the lines, but basically this is what they look like. And then for the pinky finger, lastly, we almost made it. We just have this very simple, you know, one swoosh in pink over the glittery background to kind of mimic the one design with the heart swoosh. And yeah, that would be the last design. You can basically imagine just the same thing times 2, and you're gonna see, you're gonna see the end product anyways, but you know, just finishing this off, and here we go. That is the full nail set that we have here, sort of like Valentine's-ish, and I hope you enjoyed today's video, and until next time, goodbye.